Welcome to another tutorial of the thermal system design class. In this tutorial, we're gonna post-process some of the solutions that we obtained from our last calculations. So from last tutorial, we performed 300 iterations into this geometry. These are the residuals that we obtained. And today we're gonna obtain the contours for velocity, temperature, and pressure of this. So first thing to notice is that each contour is a 2D plane from this from this entire geometry. So right now we're performing a 3D analysis, but we'll have to cut some sections in order for us to see the actual results. So a way to do that is that we'll go to graphics and we'll click on meshing, and we can see here in meshing. If you don't want to see the whole faces, as we can see here, and we can click on edges, save and display, and we can see right now that we have a clearer representation of what we want to see. So there's several ways to do this. So one way is to go and create just a plane, but a very interesting feature that ANSYS has is that you can go into ISO surface and you have different surface constants. So if we go, for example, to meshing, which is where we're working on, and let's name this plane 1, it's gonna ask us for the X, Y, or Z coordinates. So for example, if we click on the X coordinate, it's gonna give us the point at which the answer is at the origin in this case. So it's looking for that origin inside of ANSYS. I already changed my units to inches. Remember that you can go to display and you just go to units, and that's how you will change them. I already did this before starting this tutorial. So we have our answer on inches, and what we can do is that here in this option ISO value, let's change this. For example, on the Z coordinate, let's compute it. It's 15 and 15. That's giving us our origin. Remember that from our problem we have a 30 inch basically on our extrusion. So it's giving us a point at the middle, and this 0 it's telling us where it's gonna create the plane normal to this plane, to this axis, to the Z axis. So let's create this plane 1. Let's create it, and we see right here that plane 1 has been created. If we go to mesh display and we click on this plane, display it, sorry, because of that my computer just froze. So then again, if we go to our plane and we go to display, so we click again on edges, plane 1, and we display it, we can see that it has created a plane just in the middle section of this domain. So let's say, for example, let's create a plane 2. Basically, you're gonna tell it where you want your plane to be created. So let's say that we want to create it 5 inches away from that one. It's gonna create it at the normal. It's gonna give us our plane. We can see that we have again our I'm getting rid of the symmetry wall just so you can see the planes a little more clear. So we can see it created another one right there. Let's create another one. Let's call this plane 3. Let's create it now on -5. If we create it, we display it, we can see that it created it right there. So let's say, for example, that we choose the Y coordinate instead. Compute this first, and we create it at the middle. It's gonna create it now at the normal direction of the Y plane. Let's call this plane 4. Create it, we click on it, and we can see now. Let's take away the other ones so you can see it more clear. We can see now that it created it at the y plane, normal to the y direction. So you can definitely play with this more, but with this we can start creating our contours. So if we click on graphics again, first of all, let's take away these planes. We're not going to use them. If we go to graphics and we click on contours, it's going to take us here. Let's say that we want to simulate the velocity and we want to simulate it at plane 1. This is what we will be getting when we do that. Sometimes it's not, the field is not selected, so you will be getting this. So let's go back and do this. Again, you can reduce the number of the color map, for example, by 20, 100. Let's say that you want the color alignment at the bottom. Let's say that you want another color, for example, RGB instead. So you can mess with it. Same thing that we did last time. We close it. We can zoom in into this. We can pan around. And let's save this one. So we go to File, Save Picture, Save. Let's go to the location that we have. Let's call this velocity. Now if we go to it, go to users, the folder that I have this on, you can see our velocity has been created. Close this. Let's obtain temperature now. So again, we go to contour, velocity, instead we'll go to temperature. We'll just leave it at a static temperature. Select plane 1, save and display, and it's going to give us a temperature. Same thing, color mapping. We want this at the bottom. Apply it. It's giving us a temperature in kelvins. You can increase or decrease the, if you want the number formatting in another, let's call it in general, so we can see the temperature a little more clear. So we have that. And you can even change the color if you want. Let's call it like that. Close this, file, save picture, save. Let's call this temperature. Okay. Close it. You can see it now here. We have our image. We can go back and we create the one for pressure. We go to contours again. We want pressure, static pressure at plane 1. Save and display. This is the pressure that we're obtaining. The color options. You can go for whatever you want. For me, pressure is another color. It's not the color that I intended, but very similar. Apply it. Bottom. Let's change this to a general number. Close this. File. Save picture. Save it. Pressure. Okay. Have pressure right here. So for now, we created the contours for the velocity, the temperature, and the pressure. So on next tutorials, we're gonna start looking more into the plots for the velocity, the temperature, and the pressure at different diameter.